Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot to get into. We're going to talk about Japan deploying jets to different bases around the world. We're going to talk about Ukraine, of course, the huge $3.5 billion package. We're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled indefinitely for his comments. We are also going to be talking about everything that just transpired as far as different stories. Now, they are saying Navalny's wife, poison. We're going to talk about the Iron Beam. We're going to talk about the massive amount of tanks that are moving, the military movements, the exercise in Greenland. It is all coming up right now on Marfoogle TV. So again, right now, let's get started with, of course, Ukraine in this massive $3.5 billion package. Ukraine anticipates a substantial $3.5 billion by next month for a critical fund to procure U.S. weapons. President Vladimir Zelensky announced on Wednesday, bolstering its protracted fight against Russia's full-scale invasion. Now, of course, there's been a lot of stories around Russia right now because they, of course, did this event or possibly did this event where they sent in drones into Poland. And now, of course, NATO is talking like they're about to go to war. They just put 40,000 soldiers on the Polish border. In, of course, the Zapad West 2025 exercise with Belarus and Russia is going on right now, where they're putting tactical nukes on their border. It's getting absolutely nuts. And now it looks like Ukraine just got another crutch to stand on. So we're going to talk about this and much, much more on tonight's show. Again, stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, we've got a lot more to get into. Before we do, let's bring in my co-host, internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, obviously, we have Japan, which is been doing a whole lot more than they used to as a self-defense force, changing their constitution and getting a whole lot more active in the future World War III. Let's talk about what they just did and what they're deploying.
Yeah, so Japan is deploying 8 aircraft, including 4 F-15 fighter jets, to bases in the United States, Canada, and Europe in an unprecedented mission to support NATO. So the mission, dubbed the Atlantic Eagles, reportedly marks the first time in history that Japanese warplanes have deployed to Canada and Europe. A total of 180 personnel drawn from air bases across Japan are taking part, including from the 2nd Air Wing based in Chitose, the 1st Tactical Airlift Wing based in Kamaki, and the 2nd Tactical Airlift Group from Airuma, and the 3rd Tactical Airlift Wing from Maiho. So that's a lot of people, and for their country, that's a significant number of jets. But more importantly, they're positioning themselves in locations that they've never been before, and obviously supporting NATO, publicly stating they're doing it to support NATO. Japan has often sought after similar sort of alliances to help protect them and others in the Pacific. Everybody's always talked about a Pacific NATO, although I don't know if that would actually come about. But certainly, Japan has always been chomping at the bit to join NATO and expand their reach with across the globe.
Well, and I want to point out in where the Polish president, I think it was the Polish president, it might have been Germany, but they did this huge press conference. This was probably 4 or 5 days ago after the drone incursion or the supposed drone incursion happened. He stood with all of NATO behind him, and he listed the countries. He said, "I'm here, and I just want to say a very big thank you," and listed Lithuania, Estonia, all of the countries. It went on. I'm like, wow, he's really naming every NATO country. And he named Australia and Japan. And I just thought it was interesting. I know they have the Trilateral Alliance, but as far as like Poland separate, like the Trilateral Alliance is more of us. But they are working very closely. NATO is working very closely with Japan and Australia too. And what does that tell you? That tells you that these countries are not, that it's not NATO and the Trilateral Alliance. It's everyone versus China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela. I mean, this is straight up divided down at North Korea. This is straight up divided down like a world war. So, I mean, this is the Allies versus the Axis, right? I mean, it's nuts. So Japan is getting heavily involved here. I'm glad, and I am glad that we have them on our team this time, because Japan is, they are not a force to be reckoned with. Now they are deploying all of these jets all around the place. It's very obvious, and it looks like they're getting ready. It looks like everybody is getting ready. If you take one little story, you might go, okay. But when you add this up with every country essentially maxing out their air defense, putting their troops all over the place, moving military gear like we've never seen, setting up temporary structures, at this point, it literally looks like we are months away from this kicking off. I have been saying I think it will be next year. I think that they're preparing for this, but any event could kick this off at any time. The detractors, I wish I could say I can't wait for this to happen, so the detractors will be like, oh, I guess, it isn't a nothing burger. But I do not want this to happen. We are going to be in a lot of trouble once this does happen. There's so many unprepared people. Most people have 3 days of food in their fridge. It's going to be, it's just going to be a disaster. Here in the United States, I think we'll be hit with a immediate cyber attack, some sort of attack on our power. And I think that people will be absolutely turned upside down, because in my belief, all of these countries are coordinating to hit at the same time. I guess we are blessed that we do know that all of the allies are doing the same. So let's just hope that the allies just absolutely kick ass in this next war, because I don't want to wake up and have to speak Chinese. All right, I don't want to have an app on my phone and learn about Xi Jinping every day to get my social credit score up. But who knows? In the future, we might have to do that anyways for our country. And then Dex, let's talk about the sun is waking up and NASA doesn't know why.
So the sun's activity is escalating far beyond scientists' predictions. NASA has warned. So I guess maybe it's their last one of their last acts before they get into that spy agency gig that they're switching to. But yeah, NASA's warned this. It's resulting in more solar storms, flares, and space weather events. So solar activity typically follows the 11-year cycle, which we've talked about this. Scientists had expected the trend to continue with historically low activity for the last cycle. However, the new study, the agency has said the sun has been increasing ever since 2008, and all signs are pointing to the sun going into a prolonged phase of low activity, said James. But so it was surprised to see that trend reversed. The sun is slowly waking up, he said. So why they're publishing this, putting this out now and explaining and telling us this now, we kind of knew this, unless they're seeing a heightened amount. At some point, that maximum was supposed to start trending back down, and maybe they're predicting it's going to continue going. I don't know.
Or maybe it ends up being a 12 or 13-year cycle, and we're about to hit the max. This is bad. So first of all, we've talked about CMEs as well, a Carrington level event happening, something like that. But here's a different angle too. So yesterday, we declared that they are now declaring NASA is going to be a spy agency. And it was funny because Dex and I just talked about this last night. My question will there be additional things that they can do as a declared spy agency to keep things classified, to change around information? Think about this. If they want to hide something as a spy agency, they can say, this is for national security, so we're going to hide this. It's going to be classified. Even simple things that normally they would have to go through a bureaucratic trail to do, now as a spy agency, they can just say, just trust us, bro. Because think about this. Think about if our power does go out, or if there is some sort of EMP attack, they could change the information and say, oh, well, it was actually a solar event, right? And before you go, oh, well, there's all these other agencies that can detect that too. NASA is one of very few that actually has the equipment out in space. And you go, oh, well, but this country does and that country does. Well, all of those countries are working together right now. So if you think that this would be something that just happens on its own, I would want to look into, is the Japan space program and the European space program. Are they all doing a very similar thing? Are they doing anything similar? Are they also going this route of kind of turning it into a spy agency? Or are they taking any maneuvers to make it easily classifiable in their laws and in their bylaws as well? Because this is a weird timing. And I'm just saying it's weird timing that they declare it as a spy agency. The next day they say the sun's waking up. It's almost like planting a seed. If our power goes out, oh, well, it's the sun. It's a solar event. Meanwhile, it could be an operation. It could be something else. It could be Fantastic Freddy. Who knows? But how would we know, right? Oh, well, I know because I go to this one website that has it. Any of these things are alterable. This is the U.S. government, for God's sakes. I mean, most of you here know that they're like, well, what do you mean? All these countries could coordinate and do something, some sort of hoax on this kind of level? I think they already did, if you get my drift. So if you think that they can't coordinate on something different with the same kind of scary, scary thing, then I would hope that you would recognize that maybe that is possible. So just saying, I thought it was weird, and I'm also somebody who does, prepare for a possible solar event. But at the same time, I worry about other things. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, make sure to back yourself up. We have a great suggestion for a solar generator. As far as if the sun wakes up or not, as long as it's up there, you're going to be able to get indefinite and unlimited power from the sun and actually charge it. Now, a lot of people that aren't familiar with solar generators or never had one, they think, oh, well, if you don't have sun, you don't do this. These are actually great as far as you can, well, we do have power to plug these into your wall and charge them fully up, have them ready. When the power goes out, you have a storm, you have earthquake, you have something where you need power. All of a sudden, if the regular power is out, you can plug in to your generator. As far as the sun, I live in Seattle, one of the gloomiest, grayest places out there, and I still get power from the sun on cloudy days. It's less, but it is not like you just don't get solar power when it's gray. So again, this is an incredible unit. The best part about it is this thing is tough as nails. It's built for the literal Army. This is the Flex Tactical that was built, and it just won the SBR Phase 1 contract. It is shipping out to the Army, which another requirement for that this is front-loaded in the U.S. You know that it is not going to have any kind of software, any kind of back doors in it, any kind of radio equipment in it that somebody's going to remotely turn this off when you need it. Again, the requirements for that were under that contract. So again, this thing, steel reinforced frame, heater built into it for extreme cold temperatures, fan for warmer temperatures. It has the latches so you can latch 1, 2, or 40 batteries together. It is an incredible unit. It's portable as you want it to be, or it's as stationary as you want it to be. Go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle, not only to get a huge savings, but to help our channel out. We are literally on our own. We have the Foogle fam to protect us. No one else. We don't have a third party or a multi-channel network protecting us. If we mess up, we mess up. marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. All right. And then we have Denmark, largest ever military exercise ever in Greenland. What is going on with this, Dex?
Well, I'll tell you what's not going on. That's the United States. So they did not take part. They were not invited. They've been there before, but they have not been invited this time, obviously, with the tiff going on between the U.S. wanting to buy Greenland from Denmark. So Denmark did not invite the United States to take part in the large-scale international military exercise on Greenland this week, as it had previously done. The tensions remain high over the territory dispute. The exercise, the largest in Greenland's modern history, comes amid the increased interest in the Arctic region and the vast natural resources from the other large powers like Russia and China. We even know that China has even considered and been vying for opportunities in Greenland, especially if the U.S. doesn't get in there. But it included contributions from the militaries of several NATO allies. So more than 550 people, soldiers took part, including more than 70 from France, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. Military observers from the U.S. were present, and Hegseth was invited, but Denmark's Arctic commander Soren Andersen told reporters the United States military was not invited to participate in any of the training.
And Denmark is our NATO ally, but yet you have this tiff between them over Greenland. And you almost wonder, are they practicing and secretly kind of playing by some playbooks like this is if we have to defend ourselves against the U.S.? It's such a weird dichotomy with Denmark and the U.S. And I asked this question before because I didn't know. It's like whatever happens if we go and invade Greenland and Denmark has to defend. We're going against a NATO ally, but it's a separate state, case by case thing. NATO doesn't necessarily jump in. That's the weirdest part, unless it involves it. That's so weird. Dex, think about that. If we attack Denmark, does NATO jump in, right? But that's the thing.
Right.
It's I don't understand that.
But I don't know that we'd do that. We would go to Greenland. We would just, if we want Greenland, we just occupy Greenland. And
we could punk them out of it.
Yeah, I don't think that would fall under NATO. Maybe it does by extension of Denmark, but I think that would be illegal.
Well, a party is attacking Denmark, which is a NATO ally. You would think that the rest of NATO says, because if you do anything to any NATO ally, they're supposed to jump in. But I guess, is it only if Russia or Russia's allies attack Denmark or a NATO ally? You know what I mean? That's what I guess now all of our adversaries are teamed up with them. It would be different because we talked about Turkey too. Turkey is currently beefing with Israel. Both are our allies, but they're different kinds of allies, but they're enemies of each other right now. So it's just odd, like what if Israel struck Turkey or something and declared war? Turkey's a NATO ally. So but Israel's not an ally of Russia. If you're a professor or something and you know exactly how that works, please let me know in the comments down below. And then Poland receives single largest delivery of M1 Abrams tanks in history from the U.S., which is good for us. I mean, as far as if you're a tax-paying American, then it's pretty awesome that we are making all of these sales. Obviously, it is a bragging point this whole last week. Trump has been on multiple news agencies talking about, now we are actually making money from Ukraine. We are making money from our weapons. We're not just giving them away anymore. But the Western allies continue to bolster defenses of the largest NATO's eastern flank country, which borders Ukraine, parallel to Russia, ramping up its drone and missile attacks across the war-ravaged country. Poland this week received 38 new M1A2 Abrams tanks from the United States, making it the largest single delivery so far under a defense agreement signed in 2022. 38 Abrams tanks just landed in Poland. So what are they doing with that? And think about the timelines that this happened on. Of course, Poland just put 40,000 soldiers on their border, but was this something that they did in a hurry? Was this a rush job? Did they just give them 38 tanks right now because of the long-standing contract? Now, mind you, this contract could have been fulfilled over the next 2 or 3 years. We just sent 38 tanks there, and they, of course, have these contracts so they can say, oh, yeah, no, that's just our normal buying, and this would just happen to be the delivery. Well, this delivery just happened to fall, and it's the largest ever, which, again, this isn't a normal size shipment, right in the same week that the 40,000 soldiers were lined up on the border. Dex, I mean, isn't that kind of something there? Like, you know, did this shipment have to be this large, and the timing of it? I mean, obviously they have contracts for however many tanks that they're buying from us, but
the
why
writing's
now?
on the wall. They're going to war in Europe. I mean, they've been pushing it for the last 3 years and preparing for it, and they moved 40,000 troops to the border. I am not saying it's happening today. I'm not saying, I think you've said this, Adam, that drill that Russia was doing was necessarily the start. It was probably the preface to the escalation, and it's when they move the troops and the equipment into place and they say, don't worry, it's just a drill, and they go home, and then they come back when the time is right and they take all the equipment.
I think it's happening next year. I think 2026 in this same kind of time frame is going to be the hot start. And there's probably going to be events over the next 9-10 months where we're going to see these kind of really close calls. You're going to see a lot of testing of NATO territory. You're going to see NATO beefing up. They're both, you know, NATO and Russia getting ready for this. And then China, this entire next 10 months, I guarantee you, we're going to see story after story of them not only pushing farther and farther closer to us, they're going to be doing very, very specific drills, very, very specific tests, and we might even see the setup of, say, mines next to the Paracel Islands. We might even see them build out even more bases. Mind you, right now, China has built 5 or 6 new bases on their coastline, and they are fully loaded. So for those of you thinking it's going to happen this month, well, you're seeing the signs that we are seeing. But I do think it's going to be next year. I think that they're all going to coordinate. They're all going to go at the same time. And it's so crazy because it's like there's 5 trains: North Korea versus South Korea, Russia versus Ukraine, Iran versus Israel, China versus Taiwan, Venezuela versus Guyana. And they're all slowly going at the same thing. And they've all got the same endpoint, almost like we're watching frickin' Thomas the Train. And there's that little house that holds all the trains, and they're almost all home. And home is World War III. And the trains aren't cute with faces that talk, and there's no plastic people like this on the side of the track. Oh, Thomas, oh, great to see you. We love you around here. I could have just stopped at the home, but you get my drift. Oh, Thomas, so cool to see you. Oh, great. What a cute face. Oh my God, it's Russia! Oh, that's not cute at all! Stop! All right, and then, Dex, who was poisoned? Or at least, who's saying somebody was poisoned?
Well, she's always said it. Yulia Navalnaya, the widow of the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, said that she had smuggled out 2 biological samples. She had secretly smuggled them out of Russia and had 2 foreign laboratories examine them, and they both confirmed that he was poisoned. So if you recall back in February of 2024, he perished suddenly at that jail or prison that he was held at in the Arctic Circle, where he'd been sentenced to, for many decades, I guess, to serve there. But, you know, he was convulsing, and they said he had vomited and something else, then he just perished. And Russia just said he perished of natural causes or something like that, but she had always claimed that he was poisoned. It looked very suspicious and looked like something they would do, and there's obviously reasons why they would do that. So anyway, she has now got the evidence, she says, based on the material she smuggled out of the country.
Yeah, so, and Navalny, you know, he was the opposition. Obviously, most people do not believe that there was kind of a fair chance here for Navalny to actually get the spot. But it is a big claim, and of course, if she has receipts this time, I wonder what's going to happen from that. And then Israel's Iron Beam fully operational to hit missiles along with drones. This laser system can supposedly hit missiles, and I just made a point over on Marfoogle News that if this thing is fully operational, which many countries have a system like this or are developing a system like this, including the U.S., we have Navy ships that have smaller versions or somewhat version, but this is something that they say is actually going to eventually be the replacement for the Iron Dome. They're calling it the Iron Beam for a reason. This is something where this may be an air defense system purely from, with a laser. The huge difference and why this matters is because if this is a cheap way to do it, if they say their example, it's, compared to $20 million a missile, you've got something that costs as much as turning on a light for 10 minutes. That this would be sustainable, that this would not bankrupt a country, and if they have many of them, they would almost be invincible. Now, do you think Iran is going to wait 5 years for them to have 1,000 of these all around their country protecting them, or do you think they're going to do True Promise 3 sooner than later to try to avoid that? Now that they have these, and if they are truly operational, they've been battle tested and they're good to go, they're knocking missiles literally out of the sky and drones, then I can bet you they're making more, and they are trying to make them as fast as possible, especially with two countries like Israel and Iran, which are not shy to actually launch things at each other. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to go watch that short video we did over on Marfoogle News, because, of course, there's more details there, and you can share it to your friends and family. Again, make sure to go check out EMP Shield if you haven't already. This is an incredible device that can protect you against not only EMPs, but CME. With all of this crazy news and weird stuff coming out about the sun, it's definitely a smart angle on that side and responsible. This is, people don't ever actually go look. But this is very affordable as far as if you've ever spent $60, $80, $100 on some crazy surge protector for your computer, you can get a home version of the EMP Shield, and it will protect your entire house. Everything wired in within or plugged in within 250 linear feet, most size of a house. And everything will be not only protected, but surge protected to hell. This thing is a surge protector on crack. You cannot get this at a store. This is military-grade EMP protection. Again, military tested by Keystone. This is used by agencies like DHS, DOD, DEMSO team in Texas, the FBI, now military. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Use the code MARF to get $50 off per device and to help our channel out at the same time. If every one of us had this, we wouldn't have an issue. If they had this wired into most of all of our grid, we would not have an issue. It wouldn't even be a threat. Sadly, they are working at a snail's pace. The executive order that the president signed to harden our grid is, now finally getting going. But if you want to protect your own self, trust me, they're going to protect their infrastructure, the military first, before they protect us. So if you want your car to drive home, if you're far from home, then definitely get one of these on your car. It takes 10 minutes to put in, and it takes 30 seconds to plug this into most other devices, like the modem version on screen, the Starlink version, the modem, the generator version with energy, or, of course, the Bug Out XP. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, that's $50 off per device, and it stacks on top of any sale. All right, and then NVIDIA's CEO says he's disappointed after a report that China has banned its AI chips. What is going on with that, Dex?
Yeah, so they officially banned it. So China, had suggested when they came out with the reduced powered NVIDIA chips they were going to sell to China, China started telling all their tech companies, hey, we advise you not to use it. They were worried that there might be a backdoor. They were worried that there was something in there coming from the U.S. That could harm them. And now they're to the point where they've absolutely just said, okay, we're going to ban it. And so it is now officially banned, according to China, that they're not going to allow their technology companies to buy the NVIDIA chips, which obviously is going to hurt NVIDIA sales because a lot of people thought they might get some sales out of it. But nonetheless, probably a good thing. But at the same time, that should be a warning sign to America that China doesn't need it. And if they don't need it, it means they're right around the corner from having their own. And having their own powerful chip production that will probably very quickly, because we see how fast these chips have evolved, very quickly be able to get on to par, if not step even ahead of us, depending on their own capabilities as far as speed and performance go. And why that's important is whoever has the most powerful chips is going to have the most powerful AI the fastest. And there's an obvious race going on right now between the US and China on AI development and who's going to lead that space. So much so that at the political level, everybody's doing things to ban it. And even people like China are doing things to have been looking. I don't know if they intentionally did this many years ago, but I think it was sort of a fallout of the fact that they over-invested in solar because they were selling so much of it around the world with the green deals and such, that they have an abundance now of electricity, which is actually a very good thing to have if you're in the AI world, which is much different than we have here in America. We don't have any extra electricity. And guess what? We're all paying the extra bill because our bills are going up because all these AI data centers are going in so we can win the AI race.
That we are decoupling from China, and China is decoupling from us. This is very clear signs that they are now getting even paranoid. I think too, part of it, we've talked about the angle that they believe that we're putting backdoors into things. That's also a thing here. They are very, very visibly trying to decouple from us. They've already stocked up on so many different things. They're buying gold like crazy. They're working very fast with BRICS. I mean, they're coming up with all sorts of ways that after we go to war, that they will be able to survive and even thrive. So, this is kind of a freaky thing. Rip Curl Readiness, thank you for modding tonight. I appreciate you being here, and it's nice to see you. Hope Between the Dreams, nice to see you once again, second night in a row. Hopefully you're doing well, and I hope your health really does stand up and you're able to keep creating. I was sorry to hear that yesterday. And then Amber, I'll be praying for you, and I will tell my wife to pray for you as well. And then Joe Komachi, thank you, Scottish Stevie, Darth V. Let's see here. Let's see. Sarcastic John Guerra. We have Angel Wings in the house. We've got M. St. G, Sharon, Regina. I think I'm saying that right. Diane Whitlock, and then See Here Think, Briar Patch, Sweatin' Ministries. Thank you so much, Rashid, and so many awesome people in the chat. So thank you guys for being here. All right, and then we have pilots. We're told to get off their iPad. This is freaky, and again, this was pointed out in the Marfoogle News video. I highly recommend go over there. We're not going to talk about this too much, but essentially, a Spirit's 1300 flight was on a track to potentially even hit the president's Air Force One. And at one point, the actual air traffic coordinator said, hey, what are you doing? I'm sure you see who's right next to you. You've got the president there. Get off your iPad. Pay attention. I've had to say everything twice. And I have sort of some interesting thoughts about that. And I've seen a lot of stories like this lately. And we haven't really historically seen a lot of stories like this where there is some sort of gap between what the pilot is hearing or why the pilot's not hearing air traffic control. And it's been happening more and more frequently. It makes me wonder, was there something jamming the signal between air traffic control and this Spirit's flight? Was there some sort of jamming that was messing up their computers? Is this a cover-up of some sort? Was that Spirit's airline all of a sudden flying blind and heading right towards Air Force One? Air Force One was on an international flight, which most likely was escorted. It could have been shot down. I mean, you have 200 frickin' passengers on it. Doesn't matter. If that president's in danger, they'll take it down. So this was a very scary scenario, and probably no one even knew they were in it. Imagine being on a flight, and then all of a sudden, you've got an F-16 right next to you saying, get out of the sky or we're going to shoot you down. Or even worse, they just shoot you down because you're headed straight for the president. It's an insane scenario, and it's something that, who knows what's actually going down. We give a more detailed look at it over on Marfoogle News. But yeah, and they said, get off your iPad because it essentially looked like a driver that was on their phone. So what the hell is going on here? Was that pilot just being a dip and was on autopilot heading straight towards our leader? Or was something else going on? You let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear from you. Sweatin' Ministries, Dan27. Dan 27, coming to state solution vote passed on 12th. Rapture soon. Be prepared for Jesus. Sweatinum, hey, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being an awesome member for a very long time, as far as, being a part of the Foogle fam and being here almost every night. So thank you, Sweatinum. I can't say thank you enough, and God bless. Dex, again, just so many crazy things happening at once. I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Jace, marfooglenews.com/Jace. Go get yourself a kit with all of the most commonly used antibiotics. Again, that's marfooglenews/Jace, and make sure to use the code MARF. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. Make sure to thank the mods by going over and subscribing to their channels. Go support their books. Go to their link trees and find out all of their awesome art. They are always doing a service down in the chat, so repay them by going and checking them out. Go to marfooglenews.com/friends, and you can find all of them. Otherwise, there's a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document on our website. Just go to this thumbnail. Again, you'll find massive movement, U.S. tanks, land in Poland, Greenland exercise happening now, and you'll find all of the sources right there at your fingertips. We will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.